Shifting our focus now, US President Donald Trump has come racing out of the gates in his second term in the office, slashing government agencies, launching trade wars with friends and foes alike, and even taking on the judiciary over his immigration crackdown. Well, the Republicans' approval rating has sunk since returning to the White House, but his supporters could not care less. Despite the tumultuous first 100 days of his reign, Trump supporters continue to support the unconventional billionaire. All right, my colleague Gauri Dwivedi is also now joining us on the broadcast to talk about in detail about the 100 days of Trump 2.0 administration. So far, Gauri, number of decisions, of course, that have been taken by Donald Trump. A lot of them have been questioned as well, but he continues to maintain that that is in the interest of the nation, in the interest of the US. How do you look at it, all those decisions that have been taken, and what's really coming in the future?
Kitty, in fact, one of the things that President Trump has said several times the last couple of days is that he is doing exactly what he was brought in to do by his voters, by his supporters. And frankly, immigration, one of the issues that is very central to his administration, was also very central to his campaign. He did mention to his supporters that once he comes in, he is going to fix the broken immigration system of America. And to that extent, one of the most sweeping set of decisions have actually been taken with regard to immigration. Has that been a reform or not? The jury is still out there. And quite literally, given the fact that there have been many lawsuits that have actually been filed with regard to immigration and the changes that he's actually brought in. But the most important part is that how he has really transformed how immigration is seen, is viewed in this administration, unlike others in the past. 10,000 have been the kind of troop deployment on the southern border with Mexico, where the largest infiltration typically happens. And the Trump administration says that because of these changes that they've put in place, whether they've invoked the Rare Wartime Alien Enemies Act, almost 200 years old, or whether it is deploying troops, or whether, of course, the way in which a lot of criminals and those with criminal backgrounds are being deported to El Salvador, in the biggest prison of entire Latin America. All these measures, President Trump feels, that will really address the issue of illegal aliens. That is what the illegal immigrants are called by his administration. But one needs to keep in mind that this also has an impact when it comes to Indians and Indian Americans, because it's not just the illegals, it's also a crackdown as far as legal immigrants are concerned. A lot of students are now facing deep uncertainty, deep crisis, because there isn't a clarity as to whether their visas will be extended or whether there could actually be sudden overnight changes that may actually be brought in place. Not just students, but also H-1B techies, even senior citizens are at the forefront of facing this brunt when it comes to the crackdown on immigration. But all in all, Kitty, all I can say is that this is just the beginning, because this has been one of the central themes of his campaign and is the central theme of his administration as well. So it's just been 100 days, only a couple of thousand people have been deported so far, less than 40,000, and he's promised lakhs and lakhs, millions and millions. So this is a campaign that's going to go ahead. How much of it the courts will be able to decide, how much will be the impact on Indian Americans, is something that we'll get to know maybe in the next couple of months.
And also, Gauri, to mention here, tariffs, of course, also have been a worry for a lot of nations around the world. And for India, we understand as well. We understand a trade deal is also being worked out between the US and India. How soon, can we really see it happening? And, what all it could actually entail? And how could it benefit India as well as US at the same time?
In fact, trade policy and the trade pact between US and India could be one of the highlights of the US-India relationship under Donald Trump, given the fact that the Trump administration views bilateral relationships through the prism of economic ties. So that's how important economic relationships are for President Trump. A pact that has been in the works for some time. There are now reports that indicate breakthroughs have been achieved, progress has been made, and the first draft of that pact may actually be finalized in the next couple of months itself, and with, of course, a big announcement likely when President Trump will be in India in the third quarter of this year, when he'll be here here to attend the Quad Summit. That is when the big bang announcement is likely to take place. But let's not forget that India has made the best possible use of the 90-day pause that is there for tariffs right now to be able to get some sort of a trade pact going. And all reports indicate that before that 90-day pause lifts, a trade pact will be in place, insulating India from the kind of tariff hikes that some of the other countries are likely to be exposed to.
All right. Thank you so much, Corey, for getting us all those details there. Well, 100 days of Trump administration 2.0 and a lot of decisions that have been taken by Donald Trump, which, of course, have been accepted by many, but, of course, questioned as well. And a lot that can be seen happening in the future as well. We'll keep an eye on the developments here. Meanwhile, we understand now Donald Trump has also said that he intends to end the Ukraine war. How is he really going to do that? That, of course, remains to be seen. A lot of negotiations, discussions have been taking place. But let's get you a detailed report on that.
So sad to see so many people have been killed in Ukraine, and we're going to get it. We're going to get it settled up. I'm going to do it before we ever get back. We have to get it stopped.
I solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
Day one. That was the promise. US President Donald Trump vowed to end the war in Ukraine within 24 hours of being sworn in.
I will end the war in Ukraine. I'm the one that can do it. I'm the only one that's going to do it.
But 100 days later, Trump's second term has mostly delivered delays, drama, and deadlock. Trump's plan was simple: sideline NATO, sideline Ukraine, and talk directly to Moscow. Step 1 was a 30-day ceasefire. Zelensky agreed, hoping it would restart US military aid. Putin also responded with a laundry list of demands, including no mobilization, no new weapons, and no using the ceasefire to prepare for war. When that collapsed, the United States scaled down its ambitions. No attacks on energy, no strikes in the Black Sea. Both sides signed on. Both sides blamed each other for breaking it, and meanwhile, the war kept going. Russia edged closer to encircling the Ukrainian stronghold of Kursk. Its winter strikes on energy were already winding down, and Trump's much-touted naval deal went largely irrelevant. Ukraine had already pushed Russia out of the Black Sea. As the plan unraveled, Trump's frustration grew, but not with Putin. Instead, Zelensky found himself in the crosshairs. From a fiery Oval Office meeting to a sudden aid freeze, Washington turned the screws on Kiev, while largely leaving Moscow alone. In March, Trump even threatened oil tariffs if Putin kept stonewalling, but follow-through was minimal. Then came the minerals deal.
I think Zelensky, by the way, I see he's trying to back out of the rare earth deal. And if he does that, he's got some problems, big problems.
Trump pressured Zelensky into handing over 50% of Ukraine's natural resource revenues, ports, pipelines, all of it, to a United States investment fund until Kiev repaid America's military aid bill. But what Ukraine got in return was a vague memorandum. No actual security guarantees, and not exactly the kind of peace Zelensky had in mind. Last week, the Trump administration signaled they might finally walk away from the talks altogether.
So if they're serious about peace, either side or both, we want to help. If it's not going to happen, then we're just going to move on.
Trump ruled out NATO membership for Ukraine. He ruled out US security guarantees. But even that hasn't moved Putin, who keeps adding new demands to every version of the deal. And now, one final effort is reportedly in the works. United States recognition of Crimea as a Russian territory and a frozen front line. 100 days after Trump's return to power, the man who promised peace in 24 hours still faces a war with no end in sight. Rhythm Arcadia's report for NDTV World.
And in some more international news, Canada will also go to polls today. The contest will see the parties of Liberal leader Mark Carney and Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre facing off. Party leaders crisscrossed the country during the weekend in a last sprint to the finish line, spending the final hours of the federal election campaign trying to win over voters in tight races.